Hello, fellow members of the Midnight Society. Welcome back to another episode review from the show Are You Afraid of the Dark? Last time, we covered The Tale of the Silent Servant, a Betty Ann story about two cousins that encounter a scarecrow that comes to life. Tonight's narrative, from Sam, is about a girl who discovers a ghost renting a room in her grandfather's house. Submitted for the approval of the Midnight Society, I call this Season 4, Episode 8, The Tale of the Room for Rent. We open on the gang looking bored out of their minds as Kiki arrives late and out of breath. But it is not Kiki's turn to tell a story. That privilege belongs to Sam, who is away from the others writing something down. Nothing like waiting to the last minute to write your story, huh, Sam?
No.
It turns out she's writing in a birthday card for her grandmother that she's been putting off because she's been busy, and this leads into her story, as she says.
What if there was something really important that you had to do, but something big kept you from doing it?
Like paying rent, but you can't afford it because the state you live in doesn't believe in paying a living wage? I see where you're going with this story, Sam. I mean, what could be more terrifying to a kid than adulting? Matter of fact, I am an adult, and it still terrifies me.
Logical.
The tale opens on our main character, Jessie. She's doing yard work at Mrs. Simpson's house, and Sam provides some voiceover narration.
Sarah Simpson lived alone, and most people in town thought she was a little bit eccentric.
Because she's dressed like a prostitute that serves an exclusively clown clientele at a circus? Yeah, I get it. It turns out Sarah Simpson does anagogic readings. What the hell is anagogic? Revealing the higher spiritual meaning behind the literal meaning of a text. So a bullshit artist. Why didn't you just say so in the first place?
I just kind of forgot.
Jessie heads home and Sam tells us that she lives with her grandfather and that they're buddies. What she leaves out is the tragic backstory about how both her parents were killed, run down in their car by a jaywalker. It was senseless. I'm sorry. It still hurts. It's like it just happened yesterday. No one thinks of the children! Wait a minute, I hate children. We learn that her grandfather, Samuel, has been sick recently and his bed has been moved downstairs. In an effort to bring in some money until he's well enough to work again, Samuel is going to rent out his old room, something that Jessie is opposed to.
I don't want some stranger living in our house.
Jessie puts the room for rent sign in the hands of an off-camera grip and heads off to the movies with her friend Alex. I see that the actress who played Sissy in The Tale of Old Man Corcoran wasn't available, but her wardrobe was. That night, as the girls are coming back home, Jessie decides to stop at Mrs. Simpson's house to get her lawn-keeping money, only to find... I always love shots like these. Have you ever struggled to light one candle, let alone the around 70 that are here? No wonder she's taking a nap. That's like an entire evening's endeavor. As the girls are wondering what is going on, this happens. Two things. First, are we dealing with ghosts or aliens? Or ghost aliens?
The truth is out there.
Second, what the f*** is going on with the lighting here? This is the shot in the room. It is a focused beam that isn't spilling light anywhere else in the room. So what is this? Is the mothership also trying to abduct them at the same time? It's so jarring. Every time they cut to the girls, I was like, are they suddenly in her living room?
I saw it with my own eyes.
Anyway, Starman appears from the beam and then walks through the wall of the house and disappears outside. Okay, ghost alien it is. The girls are clearly freaked out and rush home to tell Grandpa Samuel, but they make two fatal mistakes. Number one, they forget that they're in an episode of Are You Afraid of the Dark? Adults don't listen to kids here. And number two, they mention that they just watched a horror movie marathon when relaying their story to Grandpa, which makes him say,
No wonder you two let your imaginations run away with you.
The next day, the ghost alien shows up asking about the room for rent. Jessie is freaked out at the sight of him, but Grandpa is delighted. The man introduces himself as John Browning, and Grandpa asks if they have met before, prompting John to respond with an obvious lie.
No, I don't think so.
John also answers some other questions in the way that only a ghost alien would.
Cup of tea?
No, thank you. I don't drink tea.
John wants the room and pulls out a wad of cash. Samuel then asks Jessie to show him to the room, to which she replies,
Just like that? I mean,
He just got here.
I'm with her. Even if I didn't know this guy was not of this world, you're not going to do a background check on the stranger with serial killer eyes? At the very least, you get his driver's license. Jesse, I hate to say it, but it might be time to put Grandpa in a home before he gets you both killed.
Come on now.
Jesse reluctantly takes their house guest up to the room and spies this after she pretends to leave. Wait, what? We saw him interact with a chair earlier, and he presented Samuel with physical cash. Is this like a Patrick Swayze ghost situation, and he just didn't focus when trying to grab the picture frame? Or just another example of the writers ignoring their own rules?
That's not true.
Jessie tries to convince her grandfather that John is the man she saw at Mrs. Simpson's house the night before, but he is having none of it. I'd also like to point out that shortly after the ghost alien arrived, Alex also showed up with Jessie leaving her at the front door saying,
Don't move.
Then, quite some time later, Jessie goes back to the door and Alex says,
I didn't move.
Why did you say it like that? Does Jessie beat you when you don't follow orders or something? Get out, Alex. Get out now.
I'm definitely not sleeping over again.
Alex doesn't want anything to do with this ghost alien situation, but Jessie says the two of them are going to see Mrs. Simpson, and since it's obvious that Alex is in an abusive relationship, she goes along.
Forget it.
Mrs. Simpson is excited to hear that the ghost alien appeared because she was doing a meditation for a psychic ritual called the opening. It can only happen on the 9th hour of the 9th day of the 9th month and allows a spirit to come back and finish something that they didn't finish in life. So not a ghost alien then. Bummer. The ghost only has until midnight of the next full moon to complete their task, and in this case, that's the following night. Mrs. Simpson then says,
In spirit form, they have no physical power.
Can you define physical power? Because from what I've seen, he may not be able to pick up an old photo, but he sure could make it rain down at the local strip club.
It sounds ideal.
The girls recommend Sarah come see the ghost, but she says that Samuel wouldn't like that, revealing that there is some history there. She also says that the spirit has to leave through the same transporter beam that it arrived in, and she'll be right there when it does. Later that night, around 3 a.m., Alex is staying the night at Jessie's, and Jessie is trying to listen for the ghost. Alex wants to go to sleep, but Jessie tries to keep her awake through some scare tactics, and when that doesn't work, she suggests that they go get something to eat to get a second wind. Alex says that she doesn't want a second wind, which prompts Jessie to pull her out of bed, and even though she doesn't say anything while doing this, it is still very much the physical interpretation of, "Do it!" While downstairs, they see a light coming from the other side of the sheet separating Grandpa's makeshift room, leading to... No! The girls run back upstairs and... well, just look. You saw him walk through a wall previously. How is a dresser filled with your diary and unmentionables going to stop him?
Don't stand in my way.
Okay, he can pass through the door, but physically puts his hands on the dresser? Unless this guy was a mime in life, you need to make up your mind, Story. Does he have a physical presence as a ghost or not?
I have no idea.
The girls try to warn Grandpa that the ghost is trying to take over his body, and it goes over about as well as you'd expect.
Go back to bed. And no more games.
In the morning, the girls are struggling to stay awake on the porch when Samuel tells them that he's heading out for a bit. While he's out, the girls head back over to Mrs. Simpson's to get her help, only...
The ghost was trying to get into his body? This is wonderful.
While there, Alex notices a curious old photo which features the ghost, a young Mrs. Simpson, and a young Grandpa Samuel. The girls tell Sarah that their ghost is in the photo, to which she replies,
It can't be. That was my fiancé, Jacob.
You were gonna marry a ghost?
Hey, there's nothing wrong with that. It worked in Beetlejuice. Well, no, it didn't actually work in Beetlejuice. And come to think of it, he was trying to marry a teenager, so that is a terrible example. Forget the whole thing. It's revealed that the ghost's name is Jacob. He and Sarah were engaged during World War II, but Sarah fell in love with someone else. She was going to break off the engagement when he got back from his tour, only he didn't make it back. We also learned that Jacob and Samuel were in the Air Force together. On a mission, their plane was hit. Samuel ordered Jacob to take a parachute and bail out. The chute failed, and Jacob died.
It was Grandpa's fault Jacob died.
What do you mean it was his fault? The plane was going down. He gave what I would consider a sensible order in that scenario, so unless he packed Jacob's chute to fail, it's not his fault. Though I'll bet he was racked with survivor's remorse. Anyway, this leads the girls to the conclusion that the ghost is there to get revenge on Samuel. They rush back to the house with Sarah accompanying them. Meanwhile, Jacob sneaks up on Grandpa, about as slow as the scarecrow from the Tale of the Silent Servant. The girls arrive before the ghost can give Grandpa a back rub or whatever he was going to do. Samuel and Sarah then have an awkward reunion that immediately results in them fighting.
What's with them? I don't know. They can't spend 5 minutes together without fighting.
Well, normally that's called marriage, so I don't know what their excuse is.
It doesn't thrill me neither.
The fight ends with Sarah leaving. Jesse says that since the ghost has to leave at midnight, all they have to do is protect Grandpa until then, which I'm sure will go off without a hitch.
Says who?
Later that night, Jessie finds a photo of Sarah and Samuel with writing on the back that says, "I will love you forever." She also finds a journal that her grandfather kept. Downstairs, Alex is on watch duty, but the thing about ghosts is that when the plot needs them to, they glow super bright when doing a possession, and then other times they can just glow on their own face. Jessie comes downstairs to find her grandfather is missing. The phone then rings and it's Sarah asking why Samuel is outside her house. Hold up. The way this was shot made it seem like the ghost did its possession moments before Jessie came downstairs. Earlier, when they thought Grandpa was in danger, they had to trek on bikes, and Sarah took a car from her house to theirs, so how is he already at her house? I mean, if it were just the ghost, I could understand. But you're now confined to the body of a sickly old man, so you didn't sprint over there.
Aw, Gramps.
Sarah lets Samuel into her house, and he reveals that he is really Jacob. Shortly after, Jessie and Alex arrive, and Jacob reveals his plan.
Your grandfather will live, but with my spirit, his will return to the light in my place.
Not a great plan. You want to live in the body of a 70-something-year-old man 50 years out from the time you knew the world? That is a steep learning curve, my dude. Cable television alone would melt your brain. And it's not just going to be sunshine and rainbows for you and Sarah. You now have a dependent in the form of a teenage girl. It's like I said, no one ever thinks of the children. I give it 6 months and you'll be begging for that skybeam. Jessie reveals her grandfather's journal, proving that he only ordered Jacob to abandon the plane because they only had one chute and he thought he was saving his life. He did blame himself for Jacob's death.
What unbearable agony it was to find that Jacob's chute failed and he was dead. It should have been me.
Midnight arrives and Jacob is still thinking about keeping Samuel's body so that he and Sarah can be together. Fortunately, Sarah lets him down easy.
Samuel, I really loved.
Okay, so there really is no easy way to say, sorry, you've been clinging to a hope that we could be together for the past 50 years as an angry spirit, but I've been in love with the man whose body you're currently inhabiting the whole time. But it works, and Jacob returns to the spirit realm, which means...
Grandpa Samuel and Mrs. Simpson renewed their love affair.
Gross. As the story ends, Betty Ann says that it was sad because they lost so many years together. But Sam puts a positive spin on it, saying,
They say nothing is ever lost. It just comes back in a different way.
That's how I felt about my virginity. Anyway, the episode ends with,
And I've got to get this in the mail.
Sam, don't talk crazy. Where are you going to find a stamp at this hour? You can get that in the mail tomorrow, like a normal person.
Later.
Now for the review. This episode was fine. I think it tells a good story. Was it particularly scary? No. Could it have been? Yes. The actor who played Jacob has one of the most naturally sinister faces I've ever seen, and did you do anything with it? No. I don't know what it is with episodes that have the most compelling narratives like this and The Tale of the Dream Girl that just have the worst scares. There has to be a happy medium, Are You Afraid of the Dark?
Okay, what's the joke?
The settings were probably the most boring ever. Jesse's house, snore. Sarah's house, snore. Moving on.
Can't you put a curse on him or something?
The story is great. An angry ghost coming back for justice or just plain old revenge has been key to some of the biggest horror franchises ever. Where this falls a bit short is in the middle, where it sort of meanders. And honestly, Jacob should have possessed Grandpa earlier in the episode, but without anyone knowing. Then we could have some fun with like Grandpa acting weird or creepy, before we get the full reveal of everything at the end.
Some things you just gotta do.
The scares. What scares? You mean this? The last time I saw a ghost pulling this move was when Dan Aykroyd was about to get blown by one in his dream. Or did you mean this?
Don't stand in my way.
That is a little better, but this guy was infinitely more terrifying in this brief moment. Why couldn't we get more of that?
I've been really busy.
The acting in this episode was great. Jesse was a solid lead, getting to show a good range of emotion throughout. Alex was a great, plucky, possibly abused by her best friend, comic relief sidekick. No notes.
Now what?
The adult acting in this episode was interesting. It's not unusual for the adult actors to outnumber the kids, but they're usually in minor roles that have no lines or just a couple. This time, these three characters are the story, with Jesse just kind of being the audience. Jacob gets the least to do, but at least has a chance to emote with his facial expressions more than most ghosts on this show. Samuel does a good job as the goofy grandpa with some nice subtle moments that reveal his true feelings for Sarah. Sarah was the standout for me, being delightfully eccentric at the top of the episode, but showing some genuine heartfelt emotion at the end.
Yes.
Sam, while I wish this was scary at all, I'm going to say that the tale of the Room for Rent meets the approval of the Midnight Society. The Midnight Society members poll on this one was, at the time of recording this video, 85% in favor of with 15% against, so my ruling stands. But, Sam, let's work on both the thrills and chills moving forward.
Just give me a minute.
I want to thank the following Midnight Society members for participating in this video's poll. Coming in on! Oh, yeah! Knew I'd find a way back into this universe. Tired of talking about goosebumps all the time in mine. Alright, now what to do now that I'm in this hideous body? Oh, I'll get all the sugary delights I can't have in mine. Unless he's the diabetic too. Oh well, no guts, no glory, eh? Names are on the screen. How is there not one Dairy Queen in this entire forest? We've got them near every tree in my universe. What a waste. Later, suckers. Whoa, 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 whoa. What just happened? What? Hey. Okay. Anyway, what did you all think of Sam's story? Did you see it as a kid? What would you do as a ghost with a pocket full of cash? Let me know in the comments below. Be sure to check out the next episode on the tale of the ghastly grinner. Until then, are you afraid of the dark?
The ghost was trying to get into his body? This is wonderful.
Thanks for watching, everyone. If you enjoyed this video, please consider giving it a like and a share. Don't forget to subscribe and click that bell icon to be notified when more Midnight Society episodes go up. Thanks, everybody.